UFC's the battleground where warriors collide. DieHard MMA podcast, we won't hide. Clint's gonna dig deep, analyze each brawl from the underdogs to the champions standing tall. The fury, let your instincts rise. Feel the adrenaline rush, it's time to defy. DieHard MMA, we're in for the thrill. Get ready for the madness. Let's make that bankroll spill.
And with the first pick of the MMA draft, you've selected the DieHard MMA podcast, Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show. What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday to you. I'm a little bit high off of the NFL draft that's going on right now. We have got MMA out the wazoo. There's some regional stuff going on. Spectation Sports has a doubleheader tomorrow. We've got UFC Kansas City. It is a good day to be an MMA fan, and it's a good day to be right here on the DieHard MMA podcast for the Friday Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show. Best MMA show on planet Earth. Never a bad read. Never a bad bet. Not given out, not on this show. And you may even see that tinfoil cap break its way out here every once in a while here today. What is going on to the chat? I've got my guy Ethan Hershey already hanging out. AWMD. What's going on? Daniel Flynn D, my guy. Action Jackson in the house. Hope everybody is doing well out there. We made it. We survived. I don't know if it was just me, but this was a rough week. This was a long ass week. And you know the worst part about it? I woke up this morning thinking it was Saturday. I woke up this morning. I forgot to set my alarm. And thank God my internal clock is like set the way that it is, because I really thought that I could just like roll over, chill, and go on back to sleep. And it took me a good 8 minutes or so before I went, oh shit. Like, and then I had to like get up and rush and get out of bed and start getting ready for the day. So I went through all day Friday running on empty because I expected it to be fight day, relax, get up in the morning, go get my breakfast burrito, take my time. You know, I was expecting a nice chill day. Instead, I had to put in a full day's work. So yeah, your boy's a little worn, and I'm ready for some weekend. I'm ready for some NFL draft. I am ready for some MMA. If it's your first time catching the show, you guys, what I do is I recap the entire card. We already broke it down as in-depth as we can with a guest, somebody who is much better at gambling and far smarter than me on Monday. So if you want that full-on in-depth breakdown, check out my Monday show live stream. It'll be right here on the channel. But today, it's a little more compressed. It's a little more condensed. We take all the information we've already got about all these fighters. We add any little tidbits that we've gotten throughout the week, whether that be from friends of the show or from social media and interviews, things of that nature. I watch the weigh-ins and the face-offs separately, and I bring that information to you guys here. So you don't have to spend your time doing that. You can just kind of hear the rundown of how that went, what these fighters weighed in at, who looked good, who looked bad, who won the mental edge, if there's a bad face-off, things of that nature. I give all that information to you so you can go out and make an educated bet gambling on some MMA action tomorrow on Saturday. AW, breakfast burrito for breakfast. That is what's up. Chorizo, baby. Always got to go with the chorizo. Sev, what is going on? I am happy to have you here. He says, sorry, I have to rewind for the song. I'll click back live after. Love it. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. The Friday show intro goes hard. We know this. All right, guys, let's get into it. First fight of the night. You got Chelsea Chandler, 134 pounds, taking on Jocelyn Edwards at 136. This is notable, folks. This is notable because both of these women have struggled on the scales. So the fact that not one, but both of them made weight is already huge news. The second piece of this puzzle, though, is that Chelsea Chandler came in under the weight, which is something I never would have expected. You look at her photos throughout the week while she's like weight cutting on social media and stuff like that. She looks slim. She looks leaned out. And of course, on the scales today, that matched. Usually she's a husky woman. I mean, this is a big lady here. When she smiles, she's got kind of the chubby cheeks thing going on, which I've got that too. So I'm not knocking her for that, but that is noticeably thinner. She took this fight very, very seriously. She took this camp very seriously, and you can tell she got herself in the best shape of her life coming into this fight. Jocelyn Edwards also looked fantastic. I don't want to take a dang thing away from her. She looks like this normally, though, so like it's not as extreme of a change going from what we saw recently with Chelsea Chandler to what we saw today. Jocelyn Edwards kind of looked her usual self, but she's in great shape, very solid. She's got her abs showing off those big tree trunk thighs that she likes to go to work with. All good stuff. Chandler does have a size advantage when these two face off. This was a very, very intense face off between these two women. I mean, Chandler like stormed up on that stage and went right up into her face. They were playing a little bit of like jockeying for position with that lead hand, the way that you do when you're trying to dominate your opponent. And unless I'm mistaken, when they got split up, it looked like Edwards kind of took a swing. I mean, it wasn't close, but the fact that you're willing to go ahead and bite down and swing before the fight gets started. There's some heat behind this one, you guys. There's some real heat behind this one. And I got to tell you guys, I've been looking at this line all week. I've been looking at it all week, and I think this will be the first tinfoil cap play of the day for you guys. I only have one bet going into UFC Kansas City right now, and I plan on adding a couple. As you guys know, I always end up adding. I'm just incapable of having a single sniper type of bet on a UFC card, it seems. I like Chelsea Chandler, you guys. We've got minus 270 for Jocelyn Edwards, and I can tell you how insane that is mathematically because Jocelyn Edwards is a fighter who always finds herself in split decisions. She always fights closely. There have been a couple of fights that she has won against complete gas bags. Her last fight, she got that round 3 sub for us, and she looked good in that one, but her opponent completely slowed down, completely gassed out. We knew that would be the case. When you've got someone like Chelsea Chandler, who's bigger than you, who seems to be more physically imposing, I would guess maybe a little physically stronger than you, and who can bully you around the cage, who can land takedowns, who can hit just as hard as you do, those are the fighters that Edwards has historically struggled against. Edwards is 3-5. I'm saying 3-2 in her last 5 fights. The 3 fights she won, the 3 fights she missed weight. So she came in on weight for this fight against an opponent who has the style that causes her problems historically, and she always finds herself in split decisions. That is a dog or pass spot all day, and I think I'm going to have to bite, you guys. First and foremost, though, I like the plus 3.5. You know, if you've got a book like DraftKings where you've got the spreads and stuff like that on it, the plus 3.5 is minus 135. And like I said, this has got split decision written all over it. So even if Jocelyn Edwards wins and she greases out a 29-28, but it goes to a split, you cash the plus 3.5 spread on Chelsea Chandler. I think that's the move. Chelsea Chandler got up as high as plus 250 at one point this week, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not jumping in at that point. I looked at it and I kind of stroked the beard, and then I didn't pull the trigger because I was like, I wonder if this will keep going up. So now we're sitting at about plus 220, and for a unit, I think that's probably a spot that I'm gonna have to jump in on, just because if this is that close of a fight, I think she's going to do more damage. Jocelyn Edwards, they fight pretty similarly. That's actually not a bad comparison. Jocelyn Edwards really doesn't deal a lot of damage. So she's kind of a point strikey, picky pokey, unless she can take you down and wash you on the mat the way she did in her last fight, which, by the way, she won't do that against Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler is the better grappler of the two. I don't see her separating herself. So this will be a close fight in the end. Plus 3.5 is the move. Money line, sprinkle for shits and gigs. Daniel Flynn says Chelsea Chandler looking like a new woman. Dogger pass at that price. Mad Martigan. I think that's it. You on Wellmaker or Saaiman? We will get there in just a minute, my friend. We've got Timothy Kwamba taking on Roberto Romero. Both men came in at 146 and then 145, respectively. I do have to apologize to you guys. I don't have photos for you. Usually on this show, that's been a new wrinkle that we've added to it. I use MMA Junkie, so shout out MMA Junkie. They've always got photographers on site, and for whatever reason, for this card, they don't have them. I think it's because of the traveling. When we have like the Apex cards or even like the big pay-per-view cards, they send a photographer out. But when it's like a smaller card and it's distance, but it's not a pay-per-view, they don't send anybody. So I don't have photos. I do apologize. Timothy Kwamba, no issues. Looked good. Not a problem. Roberto Romero, crazy intense, this guy. I love the intensity coming from Roberto Romero. He looked like he was in fantastic shape up there. These two size up extremely well, and there was some really intense eye contact. I mean, you could feel the tension from here between these two guys. This is a pick'em price tag here. Minus 115, it looks like, on Timothy Kwamba. Minus 105 on Roberto Romero. I lean towards Roberto Romero on this one, you guys. I think Timothy Kwamba might be just like a hair more technical, but I think Roberto is the guy who's going to come forward and throw more. And I said as much on Monday, and I haven't really changed my opinion. Usually you want the more skilled, the more technical fighter, but when you've got a guy who leaves space, when you've got a guy who leaves time, and then his opponent fills those moments, those seconds within the fight, I kind of am going to lean towards the activity guy. So I think I like Roberto Romero here in this fight, but it should be a damn good fight. It should be a violent fight. These guys both hit really hard. I like the leg kicks on Romero. This is a coin flip, you guys, and something, as you know, I've been focusing on this year. If it's a coin I don't need to flip, I simply pass. And that's what I've got here. I am picking a side because I gotta. That's what I do, right? I'm an MMA podcaster, right? I gotta tell you guys what side I think is gonna win. But I don't see a ton of value. I don't see an angle. I can't come on here and legitimately tell you that I think Roberto Romero should be like a minus 160 favorite. So it's a good bet. This is one of those ones where you're kind of throwing a dart and you're hoping you're right. I don't have that clear vision here. So I will say Roberto Romero, but I'm going to pass as far as a bet goes. Let's see. AW says Romero hairline Clint needed to be studied. Yeah. I mean, I can't say shit, right? Like I can't talk a damn thing about Romero and his headline. I'm still trying to hit that turkey transplant parlay one of these days so I can book a flight and get out there and get this bad boy fixed. Showbiz Story says bet Giga underdog is free money. Free money is a very strong term. Very, very strong term. WV Punch Drunk says, first time catching the show live. Listen at my shit factory night job. Love the content. Appreciate you, WV. Thank you for tuning in. Happy to have you live for the first time here. And I'm also happy I can keep you company with some MMA action and content while you're working your day job. That's the point of the show. I love doing it for people like you. Stefan, what's going on? Thank you very much. Anthony, yo, what's going on? Action Jackson says, Los Robertos Romeros. All right, let's move it along. Next up, Jacqueline Amorim takes on Viana. Biggest favorite on the card. Amorim came in at 116. She looked good. She looked in shape. She's doing this. What is this? I mean, she's not like violining the fingers. It's not money. And it's not Italian. She's not saying, give me the pasta. Like, what is this? Somebody tell me what this is, because I have no idea what she's doing up there on the scale today. Viana, on the other hand, great shape from Viana. I mean, I know you weird internet people and you boys that like feet out there. I don't need to tell you who Viana is, right? She's got the OnlyFans rocking. She is built for it. Very attractive young lady. But she's got abs showing like I've never seen before, you guys. And now this is where I study, right? I look at these fighters week in and week out. I've seen every single fight she's ever been in at the UFC level, and I've watched her on the scale for all of them. Her abs are on a different level this week, you guys. I think she took this fight camp very, very seriously. She is always in good shape, right? She's always in good shape for like modeling purposes. I think she's in better physical shape than she's been in a long time for this fight, just based off of her stomach. Big height difference on this one. However, I do want to tell you guys, Viana was wearing shoes. So we've got Amorim, who's already pretty short for the weight class, barefoot, and then Viana wearing shoes. The height difference is not as pronounced as it looked like it should be at their face-off. So be forewarned on that one. And then I always got to shout out Polyana Viana for the pain tattoo. Right smack here. Pain from Naruto. I don't know. That was a poor choice. I support tattoos. I'm a nerd. I like Naruto. Like, I'm good with all of it, right? Even the Naruto, like the jutsu seal on her belly button. I'm like, all right, yeah, like I'm into it. But Pain's face right here, like you're gonna, man, like how do you? Okay, I'm going to go down a bad road. I'm going to get myself in trouble if I start talking about that. All right, next fight up. Sorry. I didn't even talk about the fight here. So you've got biggest favorite on the board of Jacqueline Amorim. She's like minus 800 in most places. The total has finally dropped down to 1.5, which I was surprised it was hanging at 2.5 most of the week. I mean, I know you can buy an alternate total, but I always thought that this should have been a 1.5. I love violence in this fight, you guys. Fight doesn't go the distance is like minus 400. And I know that's crazy for a women's MMA fight, but I think that's a solid parlay piece. I think you can use that if you really wanted to, because I don't see how this fight makes it the distance. I think the under 1.5 at even money is a half decent bet. Jacqueline Amorim is round one sub or bust. She takes you down. She looks for arm bars. She looks to tie you into a pretzel and take your back. And if she doesn't get those things, she completely falls apart. Now, the only people who she is defeated, if she hasn't gotten that round one sub, are people who are not UFC level, people who are much, much smaller than her, and people who are not dangerous finishers. Those are the only people she can extend in fights with, and that is not Polyana Viana, you guys. Polyana Viana has the size advantage here. She has the striking advantage here, and she has got some nasty, sneaky power. Her hands are very, very fast. Hands are fast. That's how I got fans. She has got a couple of knockouts that'll make you like blow what's left of your hair back. It's like, damn, like if she gets out of round one, this is Polyana Viana all day. And I've said that before. I say it every Jacqueline Amorim fight. It's probably not going to get out of round one. Be forewarned. It probably won't happen. But if it does, I will be looking to bet Polyana Viana live because this number is insane. Plus 525 on Viana. And I will tell you guys, I probably absolutely have to have just a little taste, just a little nibble on that Polyana Viana by KO TKO. 16-1, you guys. 16-1. If she plays a game of the floor is lava here, if she decides I am not grappling with this world-class BJJ girl, and she stands back and she gets her hips back and she throws hooks when she enters range and she hits her with those step-in knees, like I think she's going to knock this girl out. I really think so. It's entirely possible. And down the stretch, she's going to have better cardio. She's going to have more energy, and she will finish this fight much, much stronger than Jacqueline Amorim will. It just all comes down to, does she refuse to submit to that takedown early in round one? Because if she goes to the ground, those long, skinny arms, she'll get her arm snapped. No problem. Amorim is levels above this chick on the ground. So it's a high risk, high reward type of situation, in my opinion. Violence, minus 400. Yes, we like that. Polyana Viana, live bet. If it gets extended, maybe, depending on how the fight is going. Polyana by knockout, sprinkle. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the way I look to play this particular fight. Let's see here. Yeah, Showbiz saying Polyana's a firecracker. Oldie, what's going on? We've got AW says, hush, Clint. Who is hotter, Amorim or Viana? I won't tell the missus. Yeah, she already left for the day, so I'm safe. It's okay. She doesn't watch my show anymore. She can't handle it. I mean, if we're being real, I think Polyana Viana is hotter than Amorim. Now, Amorim's got the girl next door thing going on. Don't get me wrong. Now, we all have to appreciate that. There is subtlety and effectiveness in the girl next door hotness. But I think Polyana Viana is just a little bit higher on the hot scale slider, right? Personally, when it comes to physical attraction, I'm not a guy that's like super big on tattoos. Like I can appreciate them from like a fan standpoint, from a person standpoint, but it's like if we're talking, I'm going to be the one who gets to hang out with you and see extra bits of your body. Like tattoos aren't like super high on my list. So I kind of like the clean aesthetic from Amorim, but I think Polyana's probably more attractive. So there you go. You got it out of me, AW. There you go. All right, let's see here. Alexander says the pain tattoo is hard. I don't care. I just wish it was in a different spot, man. That's all I'm saying. I just wish it was a different spot. John Young says, pretty sure she's doing the finger heart gesture. I mean, isn't that this though? Which, by the way, how do you guys, why did you guys fuck this up? This is so easy. It's so easy. Why? That is so hard to do. It's unnecessary complicated. What is the matter with you young people? Get off my lawn. I don't, but is that a heart? Is that what that is? I guess if you do your fingers just sideways just enough, it's a heart. Okay. All right. Blood, my bad. You're right. Okay. He's saying, what the fuck are we talking about? We're here to talk about fights. I got distracted. The chat is leading me down a bad path. I apologize. I'm turning this car around right now. Okay. I apologize. Cameron Saaiman takes on Malcolm Wellmaker in the next fight. Both guys came in at 135 pounds. Cameron Saaiman looked very relaxed. He is always in fantastic shape. He's very tall and lanky for the division. Looked very good on the scales today. Malcolm Wellmaker looked strong, enjoying himself, all smiles. Like this guy is enjoying the moment as he gets up there on the scale today. They size up extremely well. These two have like the same exact build, height and reach. Both guys were looking very confident, ready to go. This is a fantastic fight. This is another pick'em fight, and Malcolm Wellmaker seems to be getting the respect on the line. He is now minus 135. You can get plus 110 on the Cameron Saaiman side of things. And you guys, I picked Malcolm Wellmaker on Monday, but I have not bet it. And there's a reason for that. So if you remember, just a little while ago, one of my max bets was my guy. Cameron Saaiman is somebody who I have bet against twice now. Peyton Talbot was a max play against Cameron Saaiman. So was my boy C-Rod. Now, we are getting a pick'em line yet again, and I'm not even betting it. Like, forget max bet, but I'm not even putting my money on it in general. I have too much respect for Cameron Saaiman. I have too much respect for his gym. I have too much respect for the potential upside that this young kid has. You take two massive L's to guys who are, in my opinion, like O-takers, fraud checkers, next level talents type of guys. And then they give you a pick'em again against a UFC debutant. Now, I am incredibly impressed with everything I've seen from Malcolm Wellmaker. I think the athleticism and the speed that he has is going to cause a problem. But I do think that Cameron Saaiman is more battle-tested. I know Cameron Saaiman is more battle-tested. He has seen far more minutes at a higher level than Malcolm Wellmaker has. And because of that, I don't want to lay another pick'em price tag on a guy who is just getting his first look at real competition. I believe in Malcolm Wellmaker. I think the kid's a stud. He is going to be a little bit older in this spot, and I actually think that does benefit him to some extent because physically speaking, he's going to be more mature. He's probably going to be a little stronger. He might even hit a little harder, but I respect the skill set of Cameron Saaiman in this spot too much to just blindly bet against him for a third time. I feel very strongly about my boy C-Rod. Peyton Talbot is the next uncovered gem. I don't care he got his fraud check this last time out. He will rise and he will be a contender as long as he takes this MMA game seriously. That kid is going places, right? I am willing to put my money on those boys. I don't know Malcolm Wellmaker enough. 30-year-old prospects are not guys that I tend to get in bed with. I am not planning on putting my money on Malcolm Wellmaker on Saturday. I'm picking him to win, but I think this is a very competitive fight. And I will tell you guys, got a little DM from my boy. So this is not a pay-per-view week, right? This is not a pay-per-view week. So we're not doing a sharp action report, but Andrew Babakitis, my boy from Superbook Sports, hit me up and let me know. The big guy has come in and made a move. They got Cameron Saaiman up to plus 120 over there, and he hit at that point. So the number one sports bettor for MMA over at Superbook Sports has come in and taken a position on Cameron Saaiman at plus 120. The market has since dipped back down a little bit, and that's why you're seeing even money or plus 110 because they're respecting that kind of action and moving that number back down where they think it needs to be. So combo of I already feel uncomfortable in a coin flip and the big guy who we respect is on the other side of this one. I'm not touching this fight. I do think Malcolm Wellmaker is going to stay my pick. I'll go ahead and say that's my guy. But I will not be at all surprised if Cameron Saaiman pulls this one off, because again, just the experience makes such a big difference. And a kid that's 24 years old with that level of experience, that level of skill and talent, taking a year off to improve, you can see some big differences in kids when they do that when it comes to MMA. So I fully respect Cameron Saaiman too much to make this bet here today. Next fight up, Alatang Halei takes on Damon Blackshear. Alatang 136 on the dot, and Damon Blackshear came in at 135.5. Alatang looked very good. He's got those little T-Rex arms. It's always funny when he flexes because he's like he's like stubby. Damon Blackshear is huge. He looked and my God, this guy looks strong, and he's got a big size advantage, you guys. When they got in there and they face off, Damon Blackshear has a big height advantage here in this spot. He's also a big favorite in this spot. -500, -520, -530. I've been looking at options for parlaying up Damon Blackshear. I like him this week. Alatang Halei is a guy who's kind of your classic old-fashioned wrestle boxer, and he doesn't really threaten a whole lot of people, so it's all thin margins and wrestling and control. And now he's taking on this next generation type of guy who's bigger than him, stronger than him, better striker than him, offensive grappling, submissions. I trust Fight Ready. You guys know this. I love Fight Ready. They've worked a lot with Alatang Halei. He's just not a guy I've ever been completely sold on. I think he's mid at best. And I do think that he's going to probably have his victory be decision heavy. If he wins this fight, it's going to be like a 29-28 grind. He's got to control a guy like Damon Blackshear for 10 of the 15 minutes and then not die. And I think that that's an uphill battle, if you're asking me. Damon Blackshear by sub is kind of the easy way to look at this, but it's only +165. The days of getting good numbers on Damon Blackshear by sub are just completely gone. I don't know if I like the number when it's that low. If you want to get crazy, Damon Blackshear by KO is like 9 or 10 to 1, and I think that's probably got some legs to it. Now, Alatang Halei is a very tough guy to knock out, so I'm not saying that that's like a smash bet or something that you can just, ride that baby to the bank, because Alatang Halei, first and foremost, is difficult to finish, but we saw in the last couple of fights Damon Blackshear's improvements on his feet. So if we're talking, hey, I don't want to play jiu-jitsu underneath this little wrestler dude that wants to sit on my chest, that means there could be a decent bit more striking in this fight. And Damon Blackshear, with the height and the reach, I think could utilize that in this fight against Alatang Halei. So I do think the KO is maybe live here. Plus, Alatang has been knocked out 3 different times over the course of his MMA career. That's the way I'd look. It's one of those ones where, like, Damon by decision or Damon by sub, like those look like the easy ones, but I'm not sure which one it's going to be. I might chase the value just a little bit. If you want to get a little crazy, if you want to sprinkle something for a long shot, I think the KO is probably the way that you want to look at it, because the value is just sucked and dried out of everything else on this one. I like Damon Blackshear. I don't mind him in a parlay, whether it's a finish or a decision. I think that's the way to go. What up, Stacks? What's going on? Blood saying he ain't getting a KO, but I mean, maybe not. But like I said, I like the parlay money line a little bit better. It would be a small sprinkle if you were doing anything like that. Jared says Blackshear sub, don't overthink it. And maybe that's true. Alexander says, hey, let's go. I got my tinfoil hat, Jimmy hat. Let's go. Tinfoil hat gang on a Friday. That's what's up. All right, guys, the next fight up is John Castaneda taking on Chris Gutierrez. We've talked about this fight to death. I am bored of it because they've rebooked it 4 times. It's taking place at 145 pounds now, though, because these guys have been turned around and they've had to recut weight and they've had to renegotiate and train again. And too many weight cuts. They're giving these guys a break, and it's up at 145. So no problem making weight for either guy. In fact, they both looked very relaxed on the scale today. Gutierrez does have a slight height and reach advantage, and I lean ever so slightly to the Gutierrez side here on this one. I've gone back and forth on this fight. I said on Monday, I think I've picked a different person every single time this fight has taken place. Gutierrez leaves himself in like such an obvious decision type of fight. Leg kick, run, jab and run. Like if he defends the takedowns from Castaneda, I just don't know what else is going to really happen here. Castaneda's boxing is good, but it's hard to hit somebody who's just running backwards the whole time. John Castaneda, not a very good leg kicker in my opinion. And then John Castaneda, decent offensive wrestler, decent offensive jiu-jitsu. Like I like that angle for him, but I think he's going to need to do that. And I believe we're in a big cage since we're not at the apex. So lots of room in there to move. I think he's going to be competitive early, and then a classic Chris Gutierrez where he wins like rounds 2 and round 3 running away. literally. So I will say Chris Gutierrez is my pick to go ahead and win this fight. He's getting some money, minus up to 140-ish at this point. This was a pick 'em earlier in the week. So yeah, I will go ahead and say that it's going to be Chris Gutierrez, but I don't like it a ton. He's a guy that, a lot like we talked about Jocelyn Edwards earlier on the show. He fights so closely that he can get robbed. It happens. It really does. And I love my Mexican fighters. A guy like John Castaneda, he comes out and surprises people every once in a while. So I don't really have an urge to bet against him in this kind of a spot, just because it could be a close fight and he could do work with the hands and he could mix in the wrestling. Like, there is an absolute path to victory for John Castaneda. It's not like you can look at this and just be like, oh, minus 140 on Gutierrez is the bet of the year. I don't think so. It could play out very, very differently from that, even though I do agree he's probably the one who most likely gets the dub here. Do me a favor, you guys, if you haven't yet, please hit the like button. If you're on social media, you're watching this show, share it out there for me. If you're on Twitch, what's up? Get subscribed. We're building that platform as well. Anything you guys can do to help me share the show out goes a long, long way. And then, of course, after the show is over, any after the show comments and stuff like that, that always helps out. I try to get back to everybody. I know it takes me a few days sometimes. I do apologize for that. But if you can jump in the chat, let me know your favorite bet, what part of the show you liked, suggestions, things like that. It's good for the algorithm, and also I just like interacting with you guys. So get subscribed for the best MMA content on the net, and let's keep this bad boy rolling. Evan Elder takes on Gage Young. 156 for Evan Elder, 156 for Gage Young. Evan Elder, all smiles on the scale today. Look fantastic. Strong physique. I like this guy. Gage Young, extremely pale, I will say. Big flex. Not that that's going to affect the fight at all, unless a spotlight hits him at just the wrong angle. Looked very, very rough on the scales today. He did give a big flex. I mean, he's in good shape. Don't get me wrong, but he got off the scale as quickly as he could. His face looked a little sucked out. I think he had a bit of a rough weight cut. These two guys size up pretty well. I will say Evan Elder is just like a hair larger. I mean, it's negligible, but he's just a little bit bigger. This was a respectfully intense face-off. These guys want to punch each other in the face. There's no bad blood, but both these guys are ready to go. Both these guys are ready to fight. Now, I got to shout out Spectation Sports here real quick, you guys. They're doing that doubleheader I talked about on Saturday as well. So there's regional MMA that you guys can watch as well. Promo code DIEHARD will get you 20% off your subscription with Spectation Sports. Gage Young comes to us from Spectation's platform. So if you want to go back and look at some of his highlights, if you want, in fact, the Twitter handle for Spectation, they posted his entire last fight that got him the call up to the UFC. So give them a follow on Twitter, on social media, check them out, and then go check out the platform as well, because a lot of young and up and coming fighters have fights that are going to be going through Spectation Sports. In fact, what's the name of the kid? There's a show, Rough 62, that's happening this weekend. That's one of the shows for the doubleheader. Tommy McMillan. He's 7-0. He's undefeated. This kid is a stud, you guys. Mark my words. He will be on Dana White's Contender Series. Like, he's fighting on Saturday. He's going to be on Dana White's Contender Series. He's going to knock this guy out. He trains out of the lab. He's fighting here in Phoenix. I think this kid's getting the call, and you don't want to miss him. If you haven't heard from him, or you haven't heard of him, you probably want to look him up. Just saying. Gage Young is a guy who comes from that platform, so he's a guy I'm excited to see if he can transition to the UFC level and see how well he does. I like his hands, you guys. I like Gage Young's hands. He's another one of these guys that not quite like Trevor Peake is kind of what's in my mind here, as far as he likes to fight. He wants to hurt people. He wants to hit you. Now, that doesn't always end up going very well for these guys because the technique isn't there, the skill level isn't there. They've just been able to go out there and out tough and out rough a lot, pun not intended, go out there and rough up some of these people that aren't quite on their level at the regional scene, and that doesn't always transfer to the UFC level. But on Dana White's Contender Series, he fought Quillian Selkild, a guy who I very much underestimated. You guys know, I think in his UFC debut, I bet Anshul Jubilee against him, and that did not turn out very well at all. This guy went tooth and nail with him. So I think there's actually a chance Gage Young could be pretty good here. I think this fight's low-key going to be a banger. This could be like a fight of the night contender type of fight. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a finish here. I kind of like an under in this spot at plus money. I don't know if I'm going to actually play that or not because they're both tough as nails. Evan Elder has only got 2 losses on his record. One of those by KO. Similarly, Gage Young has 2 losses on his record, one of those by sub. So both of them are 50-50, right? They've got 2 losses each, and one of them is by finish. I like the offense from both guys. I could see this being just a banger and one of these guys going down in round 2 or something like that. And I think both of them are capable of finishing as well. So I like Evan Elder and Gage Young sprinkle on the under. I'm going to pick Evan Elder. But I'm not laying minus 200. That's all that comes down to. I'm not going to lay minus 200 because I think this fight could be intense and I think it could be violent. What's up, Steph? Thanks for being here. William coming in with the Garry Brown Saaiman parlay. That probably pays pretty damn well. All right. Next up, we have got Jimmy Flick and Matt Danger Schnell. 126 for both men. Jimmy Flick, no issues, relaxed, smiling. He always looks like it's a bit of a rough weight cut, but he's got that scraggly, skinny body type thing going on. So I think that's just how he looks. Matt Schnell looking very good on the scales today. Business as usual, a little hairier than normal. I'm not sure if this is a retirement fight for Matt Schnell or not. I think he said he's retired and he's come back, but I don't think he's confirmed if he's retiring after this fight or not. It's like a let me get one more type of thing. I'm not sure if he's fully intending on laying the gloves down or if it depends on the result of the fight. These ones always worry me. Yeah. Blood saying 2 former retirees. It's like both these guys have literally had the fire die in their eyes already. So I don't really want to go to war with either of them. Neither of them are particularly durable. Jimmy Flick is a guy who every single finish loss he's ever had in his career, all 6 of them have come by KO. And then Matt Schnell, he's been clubbed and subbed a couple times, but he's got 5 KO losses. The chin is a massive liability, but when he faces slick submission guys, they rock him on the feet and then they take the neck home. And that's what's happened to him the last couple of times. So he could lose inside the distance either way. This is another one that definitely is going under. I mean, I have a hard time seeing how this fight goes over because there have been a couple of times I've been caught with my pants down saying Matt Schnell is not going to win a decision here, right? Because he comes out and he uses his jab and he just never puts himself in danger. And we literally just saw that work against Jimmy Flick with Nate Maness, right? He just jabbed the guy to death and never let him get anywhere close to him. That's kind of something I could see happening, except Matt Schnell's jab is so nasty and his hands are so slick. I think he gets the knockout without trying. Like, I really legitimately think that Matt Schnell will just tap Jimmy Flick in the face enough times, and then the one time he decides to throw a 3-piece and like follow up on the jab, it'll just be over because Jimmy Flick doesn't have great durability. So I still think this fight probably finishes inside the distance, even considering. It's crazy the amount of movement on this number. Matt Schnell was nearing 3-1 at the beginning of the week, and it's been a landslide of Jimmy Flick money coming in. Now, you guys know I love me some bets against retiring fighters. I'm all for it. I can't do it with this one. Jimmy Flick is not a power guy. He's not even a good striker, much less a power guy. He has no KOs to his name. So don't get me wrong. Matt Schnell could get knocked out by a cold shower. Matt Schnell could get knocked out by a paper bag floating down in a gust of wind, right? Like, but I still don't know that Jimmy Flick is the guy who's going to be able to touch him to get that knockout. If they end up grappling, if they end up scrambling, Flick is a very opportunistic submission artist. The club and sub will be there if he's able to touch Schnell in the first place. I just am not convinced he'll be able to touch him in the first place. The numbers are all over on this fight. Matt Schnell is down to about minus 160. So you can get plus 135 or so on Jimmy Flick, which is crazy considering he was plus 250 to start the week. Matt Schnell by KO is plus 140 right now. The sub prop for Jimmy Flick is plus 300. I think those are the most likely outcomes here. Matt Schnell by decision would just be the grossest outcome ever, and that's plus 400. I kind of like Matt Schnell by KO. I really do think he's going to keep this fight standing. I think he'll keep it at his space, at his distance, and he'll use his hands effectively, kind of the way we saw in Jimmy Flick's last fight with Nate Maness. And then at some point, the KO just presents itself. So I know there's been a flood of money on Jimmy Flick. I'm still thinking Matt Schnell is just levels above this guy. And even 80%, even retired, even dead soul Matt Schnell probably still beats Jimmy Flick. Makes me sad to say. I love Jimmy Flick. I'm a fan. Don't get me wrong. But this guy already got shown the door at the UFC level and then came back because he wanted a couple extra paychecks, which I get. So I think he's just kind of fighting for income and for fun at this point to kind of supplement things. There's no reason to think that Jimmy Flick is going to be anything more than like a low grade barely UFC level guy. Like he fluke subbed Cody Durden, which don't get me wrong. Now, fluke is a bad word because he's a very, very talented grappler. But if he doesn't submit you and submit you quickly, that's his only path to victory. He doesn't have the skill sets to do really anything else. And then he got Malcolm Gordon out of there, which Malcolm Gordon is the worst to ever do it at this weight class. So that win means nothing to me. So one essentially fluke win and then one win over the guy that's just the worst. So, oh shit. Are you serious? Usman versus Buckley just got announced. Oh, I love it. I love that. That is sick. I love the career trajectory of Joaquin Buckley right now. I mean, the resurgence coming from this guy after getting laid out by Kevin Holland early on. It's been real fun to watch this guy's resurgence. And Usman, I mean, the run he's on, the fall of Kamaru Usman has been legendary. So for him to be coming back, that's interesting because I honestly didn't think we would ever see Usman fight again. That's wild. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for the breaking news. Appreciate it. Love that one. And yeah, Ethan says Rose versus Maverick too, but who cares? Yeah, that's another passing of the torch, right? Rose just seems, oh, she is shot. And Maverick is going to just try to sit on her chest. That's how it goes. All right, guys, let's move it along. We got a couple more fights to get to. Ikram Aliskerov takes on Andre Muniz. 185.5 for Ikram, and then 185 on the dot for Andre. Ikram had that blank 6-yard stare today, you guys. He was looking at ghosts off in the distance. He had a real bad weight cut. You could tell this guy was not happy on the scales today. Andre Muniz shredded up, abs popping. He looked angry on the scales today. That's something I don't think I've seen in a long time. Is Muniz legitimately looked furious just standing there. He looked like he was going to eat a baby. He looked so angry. When they face off, Muniz has a decent size advantage on this one, and this was a very good stare down. So I will tell you guys, I am not part of the Ikram Aliskerov hype train. I'm just not. A lot of people thought this guy was going to roll through my boy Robert the Reaper Whitaker. Ain't having it. I mean, he's 32 years old coming off Dana White's Contender Series, and he beat who? Exactly. Worley Alves and chinny-ass Phil Hawes. This guy can punch. Don't get me wrong. The striking is there. Ikram can crack. He's got heavy hands. Andre Muniz, though, different level grappler. Now he's 35 years old, so he's getting up there a little bit. But again, that's only a 3-year difference, right? Ikram is not a young prospect here. He's on the tail end of his prime. We've seen Andre Muniz knocked out multiple times before. He does have cardio issues. He does get tired. And that's why I'm having a hard time just like straight up picking him here. But he did reach kind of heights in this weight class, right? Like he submitted a guy like Jacare before the end was over. He was able to ride out a guy like Uriah Hall for a decision. I know the split with Jeon Kim wasn't great, but he was fighting guys like Brendan Allen at one point. So we have seen this guy get kind of up to the top, and now they're pulling him back down. And this is more of like a gatekeeper contender type of fight where they're like, okay, which one of you belongs to actually go back up there and be in the contender circle? I think Ikram is eventually going to find a KO here, but Muniz at plus 800 by sub, I don't know how you go wrong sprinkling something like that, because the way this guy submits people, all he needs is one takedown. With him being the bigger guy, I think he'll get to Ikram's back at some point early in this fight. And then it just comes down to Ikram's ability to defend himself, whether he'll be able to get back up to his feet or not. I think this is going to be a very, very violent fight. It's a 1.5 total. I kind of lean towards the under 1.5. This is another one where I wouldn't mind parlaying up like fight goes the distance. Cause again, I just don't see how, like, unless Muniz backpacks this man and hangs on for dear life, and Ikram's got a worse gas tank than we know, but better submission defense than we expect. That's the only way this thing goes over, right? Ikram is not going to jab Muniz to death, but never kill him. If he hurts him, he's going to knock him the fuck out. So then if Muniz gets this thing on the ground, I fully expect him to submit this guy at some point. He's got a size advantage over him. He's got an experience advantage over him. So yeah, I think this is a very, very violent fight. The 1.5 worries me a little bit. It could ease up and over that 1.5, but I don't think it's going the full 15 minutes. I do think it's Ikram by KO. Minus 160 for that prop. A little gross, but I I wouldn't be shocked if Muniz got another armbar, you guys. I'm just saying it's possible. Hey, what's going on for UFC bet picks in the chat? Says Maverick is awful. Most overrated fighter in the UFC. Hort almost choked her out. I absolutely agree. But Rose easy. I don't know. It depends on how shot Rose is. But I completely agree on all the other points. Maverick is completely overrated. I've been saying that forever. And this, you know what? This might finally be the spot for you because I've been trying to fade Miranda Maverick. She's always a massive price tag, and I've been wanting to get on the other side of her, but the wrestling just bails her out. Maybe this is finally the one where we can just load up against her because her opponent won't just concede takedowns for the entire fight. But then the Carlos Esparza fight with Rose comes to mind. I don't know. It's very frustrating. Steven Jackson says, Max or Diamond early prediction. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think they're going to let Dustin Poirier retire with the BMF title. It's his retirement fight. It's a rematch. Max Holloway has come back and shown that he looks like he's in world best condition. I know DP is a legend. I know he's going to come and take this fight seriously. I know he's going to give it his all. But at the end of the day, he is retiring. So I fully expect that Max Holloway gets his revenge here, gets the win, keeps the BMF title, and then probably stays at 155 pounds for the rest of his career. Let's see. Vegas says, no offense, you need to get a couple more outs on your props. I can get. Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry, Vegas. I am just quoting right now. I've got DraftKings up. So I'm literally just, I'm not going to like line shop and slow the show down. I would rather spend that time interacting with you guys in the chat. So maybe I should preface, there are better numbers out there. Absolutely. That you can get on some of these props and stuff like that. So no sweat. There's absolutely better numbers out there around the world that you can get your hands on some of these props. I'm just quoting what I see on DraftKings because it's very easy for me to get to everything. The tab system that they've got, I can view everything really clear and cleanly for the show live here on this kind of stuff. Rick LaFleur, that's a real weird thing to say. And yeah, we're not dealing with that here. Guys, no hate speech, no politics, no threats. Those are the things that'll get you banned here. And then spam, obviously. You guys can call me ugly. You can do whatever you want in the chat. But as soon as we get to the point of hate speech or threatening, you will be banned for life without hesitation. Them's the rules. Come in here, have fun, be respectful. Not that hard. Next fight up, you guys. Randy Brown takes on Nicholas Dalby. 171 on the dot for both guys. Both guys are consummate professionals. They came in. They both looked fantastic. And Nicholas Dalby, I will say, for 40 years old, looked like in particularly fantastic shape. Randy Brown does have a height and reach advantage. This was a very intense face-off here. I like these guys, except I can't get either of them right. I talked about this on my Monday show. Every single time I try to predict one of these guys, I get their fights wrong. I think Randy Brown is worth a parlay piece this week. I think he's winning this fight against a 40-year-old shorter squatter, Nicholas Dalby, who's just going to fight the same exact game plan as Randy Brown with worse tools. So I fully think Randy Brown is the rightful favorite in this fight, which means Nicholas Dalby is going to somehow find his way to a victory, whether it's a split decision or he like knocks him out in the third round or something. That's the curse. That's how it happens, right? If I think one of these guys is going to win, they lose every time. I cannot pick them right, either of them. So with them being matched up together, I got to be careful. I do think it's a Randy Brown fight. I'll tell you guys that. He's younger, he's longer, he's reached higher heights in the weight class. And I, like I said, I think that it's the similar style. It's just that Randy Brown is younger, faster, longer, and hits harder. So I think he's got every like one little pip advantage in the book in this spot. So I fully expect him to go ahead and win the fight. And yeah, Greek saying Dalby round 3. Lock it in, folks. I'm telling you, I said it's going to be Randy Brown. So Dalby round 3 is pretty much locked and golden. Benjamin, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in here and joining the show. All right. Abus Magomedov takes on Michelle Pereira up next, you guys. Abus 155.5. Michelle Pereira 185.5. Michelle Pereira 186. Abus looked rough. I mean, he's got like his face is all bruised up, so he apparently had his training camp go a little late or something like that. But he looked a little bit sucked out. He was in very, very good shape. Always looks like he's in really good shape. These Russia guys always do, especially the fake ones. Michelle Pereira looked fantastic, up at 185 pounds. This guy looks strong. He looks filled out. His muscles are all full. He's not sucked out and just dying on the scale every time we see him anymore. I think this was a good move for him. They size up very well. Abus is the slightly taller man, I will say, but this was a very good face-off. And this is my one bet this week, you guys. I like Michel Pereira. I think there's a lot of real recency bias coming in here on this fight. Abus Magomedov is a guy who got rushed the second he got to the UFC. He's been around forever. They thought he was a big deal when he was in PFL. Like, they thought he was a big deal as soon as he got to the UFC. But the fact is, he's got cardio problems. Now, maybe that's been fixed up because of the drugs and stuff like that, with USADA being gone and things of that nature. But like, he got to the UFC and TKOs Dustin Stolfus and then immediately gets waxed by Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland doesn't knock people out, you guys. We've seen Sean is like a front kicking decision machine who's got the most boring fights in the UFC possible these days. He just jabs and runs. He doesn't hurt anybody. Abus was so tired against Sean Strickland that he got TKO'd and early. Like, that's just not a good sign. So then he gets Warley Alves, bum, and Bruno, who I know a lot of people are giving Bruno Ferreira like credit. I don't. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a meme fighter. I think he's a guy who hits really hard. And then if he can physically kind of take you down and control you early, like, the submission upside is there. But he's a Phil Hawes to me. Like, he's a very front-loaded guy. He's just a little bit more durable, right? But it comes down to his cardio and then being able to string together a 15-minute performance. He's very front-loaded. So it's not a big deal to me that Abus got that win. They were both so exhausted in the third round of that fight. It just came down to who won that last scramble. Like, if Bruno got on top of Abus, I think Bruno wins that fight. Abus was able to be the one that got on top. So the last two wins in a row don't really mean anything to me here for Abus Magomedov. And a lot of people are really shitting on Michel Pereira for getting taken down and gassed out by Fluffy. Fluffy! Like the UFC's premier second place cardio machine. Merab is maybe the only other guy on planet Earth with a better gas tank than Fluffy Hernandez, right? That's what we're talking about. Elite of the elite when it comes to wrestling and cardio. That's the guy that wore this guy out. And then in a 25-minute fight, TKO'd him. A lot of people are like, oh, but he got KO'd by Fluffy, man. That's the problem. Fluffy fights in 15-minute fights. He's just now getting to the deep end of the weight class where he's going to get these 25-minute fights. I guarantee you Fluffy's going to finish a lot more people now that he's got 25 minutes to work with. There's very few human beings on planet Earth that will be able to survive Fluffy's onslaught for 25 minutes. It's just not going to happen. We haven't seen it yet. I promise you it's coming. So for this guy to hang in there until round 5, being dead tired, getting washed the way he was with constant pace and grappling and pressure from Fluffy, I actually think him making it to round 5 is admirable. So this is a completely different matchup. It's a guy who's going to let him fight at a very calm pace, striking at distance, where he's comfortable. And then when they explode, I think Michel Pereira is the stronger and more explosive of the two guys. Now, again, I don't have a punching machine. I don't have a bench in my back that they both come over and I can see which one is physically stronger. This is my assumption. I like Michel Pereira in this spot in a bounce back. I think he's the better of the two fighters. I do believe he's got the better cardio. I actually think he's more well-rounded. I think he's slicker on the feet. I think he hits harder. I think he checks every single box here. Abus is a fraud Magomedov, in my opinion. So yeah, I got Abus Magomedov losing this fight pretty handily here, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if you ready for this one? It's going to be a Michel Pereira submission, because once Abus gets hurt on the feet, he had some success in his last couple of fights grappling. He's going to shoot in for a takedown. And you've got Michel Pereira. Ooh, that sub number got touched. It was plus 800 earlier in the week. It is plus 750 now. So somebody is already thinking the same way as old Clinty Poo over here. I like Michel Pereira by sub. And at plus 800, I think I'm going to have a little bit of a taste of that. And I actually wouldn't be shocked if it was like a round 2, round 3. Those numbers, 22-1 and 30-1. For the sub round 2, round 3 for Michel Pereira. I like that. I like that a lot. I think Michel Pereira is going to be able to out kickbox this guy. And let me go ahead and say, in a 15-minute fight, I won't be surprised if this is a decision, because that's something that Michel Pereira really kind of started doing before he moved up to 185 pounds, as he was out striking people for 15 minutes and really point striking to conserve his cardio and his gas tank. He might revert to that in this spot, so I could see him winning a decision here. But I do think that Abus, once he gets tired, might try to force the issue and will present his neck. And we know the guillotine on Michel Pereira is nasty, and he's got a real tight squeeze on him. So I like Michel Pereira. That's the one bet that I've got locked and loaded so far this week. And I will probably be adding that sub as well. Benjamin says hug fest heavyweight style round 2 and 3 loading. Interesting. Kevin says we missed you in San Antonio, Clint. Kent, sorry about that. Kent Davis. Yeah, would have loved to have been there, man. I know everybody hangs out in San Antonio for the Pupapalooza stuff, and I just haven't been able to make it out there, unfortunately. Life has kind of gotten in the way of me making the trip, and one of these days I really got to get out there. I'm not on Pub Sports Radio anymore, but everybody over there is still my family. Those are still my boys, so would love to still make it out there one of these days for one of those. Steph says a Michelle and Wellmaker parlay Clint trust. I'm on Michael already. I don't think I need to add Wellmaker to it. Like I said, I think I'm just going to sit that one out. I want to watch Wellmaker. I want to make sure he's the type of prospect that we think he could be before I go ahead and put my money on him. We'll see. Because this is a real stiff test. I think that we're going to see a high trajectory for Cameron Saaiman over the next couple of years because he's very, very, very young. I think he's going to get a lot better. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I would love to. Maybe one of these days. I really will try to. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. We got a couple more fights to talk about it, and then I'll let you go. Randy Brown, we just talked about that. Giga Chikadze takes on David Onama. Giga was the one guy who missed weight today, 147 pounds. He needed that box of shame, still missed. Didn't matter. Very sucked out, very pale on the scale there this morning. Seems like he rehydrated well enough and he's okay, but he's older. He's getting up there. This is a second career for him. He was a world-class kickboxer before he started doing the MMA thing. He's 36 years old. That's kind of a bad sign to me. David Onama, 146 pounds. This kid is shredded, but he's another one that had that far away dead stare in his eyes. He was very tired, very sucked out, off in the distance, not moving very much. I think he had a rough cut too. I think David Onama had a very rough weight cut. These two size up incredibly well, and they were crazy eyeing each other back and forth. This was intense. This was a great face-off. I want to watch this fight, you guys. I will keep it simple. I'm picking David Onama to win this fight. I think he's an athletic freak. With him being younger, not necessarily more durable, but his recoverability is insane. I think he's faster, and I do think we're going to see the fall of Giga Chikadze at this point. He's just too old, and in a second run in the UFC or second run in combat sports, I do think he's going to get a little bit left behind. We've already seen him take a pretty solid beating from guys like Arnold Allen and Calvin Kattar. Those are guys who are not, Arnold Allen has some serious power, but Calvin Kattar not really known for finishing people, especially missing weight. And against a guy who can mix in the grappling, I wouldn't be shocked at all if David Onama finds his way to a finish. That's the side that I like. I know a lot of people are biting on the plus money on Giga. I will admit that I've never really had a good read on Giga. I think I bet Cub Swanson and Edson Barboza, and he TKO'd both those guys. So it's another one where this fight card, you guys, I'm being very careful. The last couple of weeks, I've really gone ham and been like, I feel good. I'm going to make a lot of bets. I'm going to put a lot of money on the line. This week is not that week because a lot of these fighters are people I just don't have a good read on. So I'm going to give you guys all the information you can. If you want to play it, you go for it. But I'm trying to make sure I'm dodging bullets here this week. I might be right, but historically I have not been. So I'm not going to get involved heavily. This is one where I lean David Onama. Maybe I put him in a small parlay. But I've got there's a very real possibility that this minus 200 price tag on David Onama looks terrible in hindsight. He could just not be ready for this level of striker. Totally possible. So I worry about that, right? I want to get a good number. I want to get a good price. And fading Giga is not something that I've done necessarily successfully so far in his UFC career, even though I think now is probably the time to do it. Co-main event, Anthony Smith takes on Mingyang Zhang, 206 on the dot for both these men. Mingyang Zhang, no issues, looked good on the scales, looked locked in. Anthony Smith, same old Anthony, but I will tell you guys, he was putting on a brave face today. He did not look great, and he looked soft. This is something, the softness of Anthony Smith is something that I've been kind of tracking over the course of his last couple fights. As his career has been winding down, we can go way, way back, and we talk about when he really was taking stuff seriously. The Johnny Walker fight. The Johnny Walker fight. And then the fight just before that, where he fought Magomed Ankalaev. The dude was in incredible shape. You could see the physical difference, the work he was putting in, the effort. His chest was tight. You could see the cuts in his muscles. Now he's soft body. Now he's dad bought up there, rolled out of bed, made weight. Last fight, just go in there and do the damn thing. And to me, that's kind of a death knell here. You know, a lot of fighters, when they get to the end, the one thing they can really control is not the fact that their body's slowing down, not the fact that their body's shutting down, not the fact that their skill sets are declining. Like, they can control what kind of condition they come in, and they come in the best shape of their life for that last fight because they want to go out on a win. Anthony's not doing that. Anthony's just rolling in there again. Like, this guy's been done for a while. It's all over but the crying. The only thing for me is that Mingyang Zhang is not a good fighter. This guy charges face first into his opponent. He slings heavies, and he's been finished 5 times. He looks to hurt people, and he's been fighting a poor non-UFC level competition, and he's been finished a bunch. Look at these guys that are knocking him out. 3-1, 5-3, 5-4. Like, I mean, he's getting crushed by cans that would never make it at the UFC level. So yes, he's coming off of an impressive 3 run of round 1 KOs against, again, minimal poor competition. Tuco Tokos on road to UFC. Brinson Habario, jury's still out on him, I guess. Ozzy Diaz, like, these guys are not good. And these are the guy he's KOing in round 1. And now here he is, a minus 400 favorite over Anthony Smith. If it was Anthony Smith 2 years ago, this would be a smash for me. I'd be all over Anthony in this spot. This comes down to how much heart and durability does Anthony Smith have left. The 2 things that you could never question about Anthony Smith were his heart and his durability, his ability to take damage and his heart ability to come back and hurt people after already getting dropped himself. That was what he made his career on. The last couple of years, that's been gone. But this is still a big break in competition from Dominic Reyes, Roman Dolidze, Khalil Roundtree. Don't forget, just a year ago, he went into the deep round 3 with Khalil Roundtree, taking everything that guy had to offer. Mingyang Zhang is a wild man. I think there's a very real possibility that this looks like the Vitor Petrino fight, where Mingyang Zhang gives up one oops and Anthony Smith grabs a neck, because Mingyang Zhang comes in so recklessly, he gets knocked off balance. He ends up on the ground in a lot of his fights just by over swinging and trying to blow these guys over and just barrel through people. I could see Anthony Smith getting a finish here, you guys, and riding off into the sunset. I really could, because this is one of the lower level guys he's fought in the last couple of years. Say what you will about Anthony Smith, but he's been fighting the elite of the elite for years. And when he gets a break in competition, he finishes these guys. Vitor Petrino, Ryan Spann, Jimmy Crute, Devin Clark, Alexander Gustafsson, broken Alexander Gustafsson. Just seriously, the guys he's losing to, Glover, Ankalaev. He did lose the decision to Johnny Walker. Nobody saw the grappling coming from that one. But Khalil Roundtree, Roman, Dominic, totally different levels. Totally different levels. I do not like betting on retiring fighters, you guys. I especially don't like betting on retiring fighters who have had one foot in the grave for years. But one last ride with Anthony Smith on retirement night, it might be on the table. It might be on the table for me, because I do enjoy fading Road to UFC boys. They are trying to get Mingyang Zhang a big win. They are trying to get Mingyang Zhang a notable name on his record as he starts his UFC run here. But if that early blitz doesn't land, if Anthony Smith has any heart left, he's going to finish this guy. I'm telling you. Mac Jr. says, I already felt good about this card. Is the money hat just foreshadowing at this point? That's what's up, Mac Jr. No, the money hat's a staple at this point. Let me tell you, the money hat, I got the money hat, and it has never left the show since. I love this thing. But thank you so much for the donation, Mac. Really appreciate you tuning in here on the show. Appreciate the hell out of you. Blood and Bear asking, how are your bets this year, Clint? I am down, I believe, 10 units in 2025. I'm remembering off the top of my head. I apologize. But I'm down a bit. So the start of the year was not kind to me, but the last 5 events or so, I've really gotten my shit together, and I'm finally starting to kind of dig myself out of the hole. So yeah, still down for sure, but definitely on my way back. Things are finally starting to fall in place a little bit, and I'm making some better decisions. So I'm sure gonna ruin that this week by betting on Anthony Smith and Chelsea Chandler, though. It just, the dogs barking, you guys, you have no idea what difference that makes for me. Because when it's just chalk, I make arguments for underdogs, and I see paths to victory for underdogs. And when 2024s happen where it's just favorites, I get slaughtered because when they can't sniff a win, pun fully intended, I'm not winning my bets because I see the value on the dog lines a whole lot easier than seeing the value on the favorite lines more often than not. But in MMA, underdogs typically have been very, very profitable, but we've gone on 2 really big runs where it's extremely chalk heavy. And it just looks, to the casual eye, it looks just so easy to just parlay all the favorites and cash 12 and 15 and 20 to 1 parlays with all the favorites. And it's not sustainable in MMA. And it does swing back. And when it swings back hard, which is why I'm starting to finally get a little bit of success here. Some of these underdogs finally barking for me. We're going to go ahead and get on track for the rest of 2025. This one's going to be my year. Main event, you guys. Ian Machado, Garry takes on Carlos Prates. 171 pounds for both combatants here for this one. Ian Machado, Garry, all smiles, looking good. He's got a cut on his face, though, which could be a little bit concerning. Got that in training camp, it looks like. A guy that hits as hard as Carlos Prates could reopen that bad boy and could be a problem. Thankfully, one thing I don't think a lot of people are talking about, thankfully, it's down here under the eye. So it's not going to be something that'll stop the fight unless it gets ripped all the way open or something like that, because the blood won't flow into his eyes or get in his face or anything like that to damage the fight. Carlos Prates, dude was feeling himself, extremely confident, relaxed on the scale, big flex, really having a good time up there. Ian Garry was slightly taller, but Carlos Prates does have the bigger frame and also the bigger head. One thing I always mention is these guys that are hard to knock out, their head, I think it's from HGH. I can't prove that, but I think it's from HGH. And the guys with the big heads like Volkanovski, they're just incredibly hard to put away. Ian Garry's got this tiny little head. Like everybody he ever faces off with. Have you guys ever seen what's the Mario Bros movie? Now I'm really dating myself here. This movie was old when I was a kid, but it's like the weird fungus growing Mario Bros dark future movie from the 80s. They've got these Koopa Troopas that are like these big alligator looking dudes that are massive, and then their heads are like this big. Ian Garry reminds me of one of those guys for some reason. I worry that Ian Garry can be had by knockout, you guys. MVP caught him and hurt him, and Carlos Prates can kind of do the same thing in this spot. Ian Garry's money line is blowing out as we speak. It was pick'em earlier in the week. Now you've got Ian Garry minus 160s popping up. So money is flooding in on Ian Garry. The problem for me is I think this is an Ian Garry spot. I think this is an Ian Garry fight, you guys. I've been trying to fade Carlos Prates every step of the way, and he keeps making a fool out of me. So this is, do I double down and just go at it again, or do I leave it alone? Because Carlos Prates now keeps me up in my nightmares. He is the nightmare, and he scares me when I sleep because I have paid so much money to try to fade this man unsuccessfully. I thought the Leech was going to be able to do it. He iced him in round 2. I thought Trevin Giles was going to be able to do it. And if that tells you anything, how bad I think this guy could be as far as a minute winner goes. Trevin Giles was winning that fight all the way up until the 4-minute mark when he got iced with one big punch. He looked like a minus 300 favorite in that fight until he got caught with one shot. Ian Garry is a guy I trust in a 25-minute fight. Carlos Prates has unlimited aura right now, though, and coming off all these big KO wins, he looks like he is unstoppable. And training with the fighting nerds and a guy like Kaio, I don't think the grappling upside is going to be there for Ian Garry the way it has been in his last couple fights. He's been able to bail himself out with the grappling. This is a live bet spot, you guys. This is a live bet spot because if Ian Garry has a rough start to this fight but doesn't get iced early, the deeper it goes, the more it favors him. I actually think a late finish would make sense from Ian Garry, and I know I've just donated money on the sub over and over and over. Trust me, I don't think this is the one where he gets the sub, but if I don't bet it, of course, that will be the one where he gets the sub. I would look at the actual round props, not sub, not KO, but just Ian Garry 3, 4, and 5, 11 to 1, 14 to 1, 18 to 1. Those are the ways I think he really wins this fight. He could win a decision, don't get me wrong, but I worry about Prates in a 25-minute fight. I'm not sure he's got the cardio to go the distance in that kind of a fight. And once the power does come off his punches, I think Ian Garry will be less afraid to engage. And he does have fast hands and he does have power himself. So I think a late finish from Ian Garry actually is on the table here, but I think a live bet on Ian Garry to win this fight after having a competitive or a bad looking round 1 and 2, you'll get a much, much better number. If I can get plus money on Ian Garry going into the second round or something like that, that's where I'm at. That's what I want to see. So I'm picking Ian Garry to go ahead and win this fight, you guys. I just don't think I want to bet him at minus 160. I'm not laying chalk against Carlos Prates again to just have my dreams dashed and smashed. I think I will wait for plus money live, and if I don't get it, I will be disciplined enough to let this one sail on down the river. Maybe I should have pulled the trigger when it was a pick'em and I could have got Ian Garry at minus 110. Those days are long gone, and I'm not going to lay this price tag on him, but I will go ahead and pick him to win. Let's see. Jonathan says, at least you didn't have to wait until decision on your Prates fades. Yeah. It was, at least it was over before too long, right? Let's see here. Blend Bear says he hasn't been to decision in 6 years. Yeah, but he's fighting this particular kind of dude, right? Steph saying that Carlos is coming down a little bit. Definitely. Chandler and Smith parlay. What's this? Let me know the outcome parlay of the night. Okay. So Chandler and Smith parlay is certifiably insane. Let me just tell you that. Anthony Smith and Chelsea Chandler are two people you want to play solos. 12-1 for a parlay of the two of them. I mean, beer money. If you want to sprinkle a little something crazy, that is probably not a thing that's going to hit. But I think I will be playing Chelsea Chandler. Like I said, you guys, at the beginning of this card, I'm going to play the Chelsea Chandler plus 3.5 spread. I think that's the most likely way to win that bet. But the plus 220 money line also has me interested. I'm going to shop around, see if I can get a better line out there. I like Roberto Romero a little bit at this pick'em price tag. I'm not sure I'm going to actually get involved. I like violence on Amorim and Poliana Viana. I lean Malcolm Wellmaker, but I will not be betting it. Big guy bet on the Cameron Saaiman side of things. That scares me away from that. I'm not going to be playing against him. I like Damon Blackshear as a parlay piece. Lean with Gutierrez. Lean with Evan Elder. Lean violence in that fight just a little bit. Matt Schnell, but I'm again scared of this action coming in on Jimmy Flick and scared of betting a retiring fighter with no chin. Lean Ikram by KO. But I'm not laying minus 450 against a guy like Muniz who can snap his arm early. That plus 800 sub prop on Muniz is calling me. Brown, lean Brown, but we know I'm wrong, right? Michelle Pereira is my bet this week. That's the bet that I made. That's the one bet I came in confident on. I like Michelle Pereira a lot this week. Lean David Onama. Again, price seems wide to me, though. And then lean Anthony Smith. Believe it or not, lean Anthony Smith, lean violence in that fight as well. But I do think Anthony Smith classically can extend this guy and then get a win. Anthony Smith, round 2, round 3 sub is 25-1, 35-1. That could be interesting. We could enjoy a little bit of a sprinkle on that. And then Ian Garry for the win. That's kind of how I'm thinking on this card, you guys. So yeah, there you guys have it. Thank you all so much for being here this afternoon, you guys. Thank you for hanging with me for the Undefeated post weigh-in show. Do me a favor and get subscribed. I hope you guys got the information that you needed to go ahead and make some huge profit this week. I hope you guys absolutely smash this card. If you have any questions for me, give me a follow. Find me on all social media platforms. I am most active on Twitter, obviously, but if you jump in the comments section below on this YouTube video and have anything to ask me, I will get back to you in that spot as well. I will be posting my final card with my final picks and additions as well on social media once I'm able to get those wrapped up, whether that be tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. I'll make sure to have it up for you. You guys, I appreciate the hell out of you. I'm so happy that we're at the end of the week. I'm so happy we've got some awesome fights to watch, and I really just hope you guys crush it. I hope you make some money, and I hope the content helped you get there. Thank you all very much for hanging with me today, and let's roll.
I still made it up.
Yeah. Feel like Steven Universe, I got them crystals. Big homies, they got me. Big homies shoot pistols. Too much flexing, too much stressing, I need money. Shit, I get mad when I get to the bag, just know I'm still hungry. Starving, niggas is starving. Head to the city where it get the darkest. Starving, niggas is starving. Up in the city, everyone a target. Target, up in the market. I got a shooter who's looking for targets. Damn, you sounding heartless. I get no love, so yeah, I be heartless. Get your weight up. Shit, outcast kid finna get his weight up. His weight up. Shit, gotta eat more if you won't get your weight up. You gotta just be a shark, but I'm moving like a ghost. But there's no hocus pocus. Heath Ledger, no joke. Bro, I'm moving like a killer clown. Depressed life make a nigga frown. Homie, me Goliath to spray around, but not enough mags to rage around. I just need to relax, I just need to kick back. Send me some lean while I'm smoking green crack. Numb on the pain, I go insane. Shit, I don't wanna feel like that. Smoking exotic, yeah, blowing these O's just like Sonic. I gotta find me a tonic. I hate these demons, yo, they be demonic. I be really going crazy. Smoke gas to feel wavy. Now I'm hot up the wave. Body heavy like Dave. Body heavy like Dave. Big homies, they got me. Big homies shoot pistols. If you got a problem.